Hello, welcome. If you're watching me, welcome to my new crown that I'm trying to keep in frame because there's a lot of light behind me and it's occasionally disappearing into the light. I am here today to hold space for an presence and allow you to presence um, any difficult, heavy energy, the way I feel like describing what's coming up for me to channel around is grief and loss. To me, it's really the grief of lost dreams, dreams that don't feel like they're close or haven't shown up the way that I would have liked to. And that's hard. I feel like, especially if you consider yourself as intuitive, connected to your senses, your soul, you've learned to tap into all this magic, even whether it be from your shadow side or tuning into your gifts, however you've journeyed into this place. And I expect it's a mix of shadow work and inner child work, or play and healing, and just deep remembrance and awareness. I feel a big sensation around that. Whatever may be your journey, it's very hard to recognize how slow the 3D world moves and how things may not happen even if you're so tapped in that you really wish for. And I know an inner child part of me really wishes for that to be true, that we can just tap into all this magic. And wouldn't it be amazing if our wishes, our dreams could come true just like that? Yet I know we are part of a collective. There's a lot of energy intertwining between us and others who we may walk with consciously or unconsciously. There are people who you have yet to meet who will play a significant role in your life. Maybe you're meeting me through this video too for the first time, and I welcome you to this space. Just know that there's so much magic afoot, and I'd like to think at this time um, that there are forces beyond us that are working to support us. If you're feeling a lot and moving through a lot, I'm holding you in my heart and just sending you a lot of love and energetic support, not just through me, but through your guides, if you're open to that and consent to that. So that's my intention for this. I expect I will open up the Akashic records and channel a bit as well. This is meant to be just as healing for me as it is for you. I very much need this medicine. Yeah, so take a moment to settle into your space, gather whatever you need to create a sacred space of receiving for yourself. So, just as we begin here, know that everything I say or invite you to do is an invitation. If it doesn't feel right in your body, if it feels like there's too much resistance, trust that and honor that. Some parts of you may not be ready to work with this meditation. Some parts of you may not be ready to work through meditation. Maybe you need a good cry. Maybe you need to journal. Maybe just speaking it out aloud or thinking it through. Whatever works for you, you're welcome to listen to this and receive in whichever way makes sense for you and your body and your soul and your emotional state. So, with all of that said, if you feel ready to journey meditatively with me through the Akashic records and see what collective message wishes to come through around this theme, this topic that so many of us experience at some point in our lives, the grief and the loss of. I think of it another way I have to say and share before we begin is there's a song called Boulevard of Broken Dreams, and that suddenly came to mind today, a song by Green Day. And it very much spoke to me in the season where I held on to, maybe I want to say envision, but also held on to certain dreams. And maybe they're not going to be a reality in the way that I envisioned at first and hoped. Maybe it wants to morph into something else. I share all that as ways to meet you where you're at. I recognize the pain of what you might be going through. And I want to acknowledge if you're here because you're experiencing grief and loss around something more physical and tangible. Maybe it's something that you were able to do and unable to for through a life event that happened. Maybe there's someone who you were close to and they're no longer here, a dear human, a pet, or whoever they may be. Maybe it's you've had to let go of a location, a home, a job, a situation, a relationship, and the person is very much alive, or that place very much exists, but you've had to move on, move away. And there's grief and a sense of deep loss and longing to restore things to the way they were or to the way they could be. I feel like I'm called to hold space for all of that, even though not all of that's my current present experience. I have a lot to be grateful for right now, and that helps, but the pain is also real. And so may this serve you in the season at this time. Inviting us all to take a deep breath and close our eyes, exhaling out of our mouth, lengthening that exhale to signal to our bodies that it's safe to relax and to slow down. Slowing down can be so hard when we feel activated, when we are in fight or flight, when we feel like there's too much to do or we feel overwhelmed. And just noticing how by me slowing my words down, that you can slow your thoughts, your energy down as well. It's something we can all do. It's just like you shift gears within you, and there you are in the slower lane, able to sense what's happening around you. Can you feel within your body? What's the temperature of the air around you? Does it feel cool, cold, humid, warm, depending on the time of day and where you are in the world? Just acknowledging the air around you is a way of tuning into your senses oh so deeply. Notice as all of the pores on the surface of your skin are opening up to sense, to receive through this invitation that I've shared. And as you do so, notice where your body's edge meets the air all around you. Can you trace that edge from the top of your head, imagining yourself tracing as if two pencils showed up in your hands and you're tracing from the top of your head all the way down the sides of your face, the sides of your neck, down your shoulders and arms, across the edges of each of your fingers. You can see yourself tracing your palm and your hand. These pencils draw back up to your armpits, traveling down your torso, the sides of your waist and hips, on the sides of your pelvic region, your pubic bone, and now there are 4 pencils tracing from your pubic bone as well as from the sides of your legs, enveloping and encompassing the edges of your body across your thighs, your knees, your shins, down your ankles. And these pencils meet at your great toe on either side, merging into one. Now we're back to 2 pencils. They crisscross and they burrow down into the ground. Heading backwards, their lead ends pointing upwards as they crisscross and weave a path down into the earth below. There's something so special about their energetic weaving pattern, as it's defining this boundary of energy that's you and only you, distinctly you. And as it travels deep into the earth, these pencils are meeting center of the earth where there's a beautiful cave full of crystalline pink trees. It's dark yet lit up all at once. From the shadows, these trees, whose leaves are made of pink crystals, are surrounding this cavern like space. And you can see an iridescent blue, shimmering water body in the center. These pencils drop down into this electric liquid where they tap into the energy of the earth and the medicine of what wants to come through for you. Maybe the colors or the texture you see at the center of the earth looks different. Maybe you don't see and maybe you feel. Notice the quality of the energy that you're able to feel from the center of the earth as these pencils, these imaginary energetic pencils, make contact with the earth. And the guides are reminding me that the lead, the graphite, and the pencils are creating this connection. They're reminding me that it's all made of carbon. There's so much carbon within us, in these pencils, and within the earth. And there's something so unifying about that, that we can feel that connection through this element of carbon. And feeling the energy of the earth travel up through the pathway created by these pencils and up the sides of your body, all the way to the top of your head. Feeling the buzz, the chills, the vibration, paying attention to any subtle sensations that show up as this energy cleanses and uplifts you, grounds you, expands you, and thanks you for receiving. Take another deep breath here, in through your nose and out through your mouth. And with that, I invite you to stay in this beautifully connected space. Welcome to keep your eyes closed as I say the Akashic Record prayer and see what wishes to come through. Of the light we see all around us, trust that you can connect deeply within. Trust that you can connect deeply throughout, and trust that you can connect deeply above and below. This is the path to connect. Connect to the space above, the ground below, and all the energy and beings that you channel through at this time. This is the way, this is the space, this is the energy that you feel. Trust and connect and let it all be revealed. Set aside yourself, set aside your doubt, set aside any concern. Let yourself feel the energy of unconditional love. This is the magic. This is the beauty. This is the essence of the records. Trust that you are within them, one with them now and always and forevermore. Say this prayer and all will be revealed, past, now, and all future possibilities. Say this prayer, say these words, and trust that you are delivered to the doorstep to love. Deep connection of knowing and understanding who you truly are. This is the space. Welcome. The Akashic records are now open. Just taking a moment to attune to the space of so much unconditional love, something that we deeply need at this time when we feel a longing, a lack, an emptiness, a hole within is what's coming through. And just allowing yourself to, if you are starting to feel that void, maybe that void is deep within you. Maybe the void is all around you as your surroundings have changed or something has not manifested or shown up. However, that may show up for you deep within your heart as a black surrounding Mine feels like a dark room that I'm in and also a gap within my body. Just allowing yourself to receive pink, loving, crystalline energy from your guides, your higher power, whoever you work with and trust in as your higher power. Feel free to replace that name here as you invite them, be it your angelic guides, your elemental guides, galactic guides. Ooh, and a lot of energy around that. Guides from well beyond. Maybe they are the forest, like fairies and dragons and more, gnomes, leprechauns, rocks, the rock people. There are so many types of guides that we journey with, and trust that you don't have to know who they are exactly. Don't put that pressure on yourself. State your intention for the best guide for you to come through for you, and allow that energy to flow in to fill that void. I feel mine filling up with iridescent white light. It felt pink originally, but now this room that felt dark is filling up. And use your imagination with me to fill up your internal and external space with so much iridescent light. It reflects all colors as it pours, almost as if someone gently poured paint all over this magical light, filling up the space. You get to choose and bring in the energy that is good for you, that supports you. That's what the guides are saying. They're also saying as you fill up your internal and external space with all of this light, that you get to choose when things feel dark and things feel hard and things feel lonely. It is hard to allow this light in. So many of you are shutting out help and support. And we understand it is not easy to stay in an expanded, open, receptive space when the world feels harsh and things feel cold and difficult. That it's important to also contract and cocoon. That's what I'm feeling as I'm hearing them. It's like the fetal position is what my body feels called to be in. And they're saying, yes, move into this position that may feel like contractedness, but yet we need to nurture these parts of ourselves that are hurting. They need to feel closeness. Many times, when we are expanding so much so rapidly, that in those times, I am feeling a lot of energy come up to the top of my torso specifically. In those times, there are parts of us that are drifting and expanding so far away from our core, it feels. And that can be scary and terrifying for parts of us that are scared, are quiet, are timid. You may not associate those qualities with yourself, but know that there are parts of you that exist from a time long before. And those parts feel safer when things are quieter, calmer, when there's a cocoon around and not this huge, massive room and space. And so they're scared of the void, they're scared of the unknown, the mystery. That's what loss can feel like. Like, where do you go from here? What's going to happen next if not what you planned for? Where do you go from here if this person no longer exists? And we send you so much love for the grief, for the grief is hard and a necessary part of your human experience, but also hard. And I'm feeling tears as I feel that there is so much grief that we all hold, and not just ours, but ancestors from long ago. For many times, they were not even allowed to feel their grief. There was no time. They had to move on with their lives. They had to keep living and take care of those dependent on them for living or to stay in existence. It was hard. you could not always express your grief. And the fact that you're able to be here and create the space for yourself to grieve is a beautiful thing, to allow this expression of yours to come through. I'm just taking a moment to be with the emotion that was coming up, and it feels beyond me. It feels like a collective grief, one that we're all feeling as we are shifting into. It feels like a new era, is what the guides are saying. It's a new energetic era, one where we can be so expanded and connected. We remember to feel connected. Grief comes from connection. It's only when we feel so connected to our dreams, the people, the loved ones that surround us, is when we feel their absence and loss. And when the energy feels quiet around that, it is grief. Grief comes from this connection. Remember that, for that connection is so important. And we invite you to not run away from connection when grief comes along. Grief also needs connection, grief also needs love. Grief is an expression of love. Can you allow for yourself to love grief for what it is? That expression of love, of longing, of wanting, of desiring, of hoping, of all these things that we truly, deeply wish to have. A meeting, a union is what it asks for. And when it feels incomplete, it's hard for the griefs there to remind you that you loved and you lost. And I'm taking a moment to pause the guides and feel into that message, and how almost like a romantic poetry or novella, like that last statement was, of to love and to have lost. Maybe this explains, and there could be bias in the room around a bunch of romantic novels that I have tapped into in my free time, but also that season feels like it's come to an end. And maybe it was to appreciate this time of longing and grief and loss and all the mixed feelings that come with it. This is me and not the guys. This is me just processing what they said and feeling into what stood out to me is this energy of connection. So much energy of connection. That's what this grief can be about. And to not lose connection. Like grief is not asking you to disconnect. Grief is asking you, and now the guides are coming through, is asking you to acknowledge it, to recognize the connection for what it is and what it was. And maybe the grief is here because it wants a new connection, it wants a reset. Maybe the dream you hoped for is going to show up in a different way, something even better than you could have imagined. Maybe the connection, the relationship, the loved one that is no longer here completed their journey with you in the physical and is now ready to be connected to you in the spiritual. And you get to allow for that at your own pace in your own time. Yeah. Ooh. I need to pause them now. I think they are complete actually as I'm saying that, because I can feel the energy is quiet. It's just very silent in this open space in my mind that I create when I'm channeling and receiving. And they're saying we are complete, and they're inviting us to take the time to process and journal. If you felt emotions, tears, rage, frustration, anger, sorrow, disappointment, allow that to come through. Words can be powerful. Messages can be powerful to allow you to express and heal. I witness you and I see you through what you're going through. And I'm so sorry for the heartache that it must feel like. And I commend you for being brave and courageous, for journeying through that despite that. And thank you for creating space to feel for yourself and so many previous versions of you, past life versions of you, ancestral parts of you. I feel a lot of gratitude coming through for doing your part. And with that, I feel like our message is complete and I'm feeling called to close up the records. As I'm doing so, I want to acknowledge if you're in a tender place that I'll take us through a short practice to feel a bit more regulated. But if you have space to be with all of this, I encourage you to process. If you feel like things are overwhelming, then I invite you to find support, help. There are so many helplines, there are so many practitioners, professional mental health. If you're not in active crisis, a healer, an intuitive can be so supportive, a therapist, a coach, whoever speaks to you, the right healer or teacher shows up when you're ready, I have found. And so just want to, in your current state, if you're feeling like, where do I go from here? I want you to have these options and know that there is support available, even when it feels very hard to ask for it. And I'll try and link them below. This is the tricky part of doing things virtually is if I could see you on Zoom, if you were on a session with me, I would have held space for anything coming up and we would co-regulate. And I'm going to do my best to hold space for you now. Just sending you so much love from me through your guides, calling in for you the highest support from what I feel like are angelic guides. They feel very white and tall and just surrounding you with so much support. And you so much light, but it doesn't feel bright. It just feels like an energetic bubble that they are cradling you in. And so please receive that. Thank yourself for receiving. I thank the magic of the space. I thank all the energies and beings that I channeled through at this time. I give gratitude to everything that came through. The records are now closed. The records are now closed. The records are now closed. And so it is with love and gratitude. Thank you. Thank you so much for journeying with me. I'm sending you much love and grounding if that felt like a lot. Trust that you were meant to express that and you can regulate from here. Know that there is support if you need more. And if you feel called to journey with me more deeply in a session where we can connect and make sense of whatever void or grief or loss you may be processing, know that I'm not a professional mental health practitioner, but I have gifts around helping you understand and see your deepest parts of yourself. I'm here for you.